Didi.
Hey, Armand here from Chi Skills, and today we're talking about...
Menopause.
Is that a topic for me?
Yeah.
Are the guys who are listening now are gonna immediately click on next one, or should they stay around a little bit?
They should stay around.
Okay, great.
No, it's interesting for everyone because we're gonna talk about a different view on menopause from more the holistic view. How can you look at it in a different manner? So maybe, you can do different things about it instead of...
It's something that's coming like in the future, like, oh, it's coming.
Yeah.
And now everything's going to end. And
That's
no,
more...
there's hope there,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. And we get a lot of clients in this phase of their lives.
Yep.
Because they start looking for different answers on the questions they have. So,
and the things that we've grown up with is everything around that topic is, it's so conditioned.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people out there, and hopefully you are listening now, who are a little bit more rebellious and are like, my life's not going to end.
No, because that is, I think, the view when women get into their menopause, that is a kind of a end of an era. That's the end of, it is actually the end of when you can conceive a child. So that's a big thing. For a lot of women, that's a thing, and it's surrounded with a little bit of grief around that. But also, it seems that they're less worth when they're going through menopause and into that new phase where when we look at it from a Western view, that's a phase when we're more into the elderly phase.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. It's on the doorstep of becoming an older person, right?
Exactly. And that's something we don't value our elderly as much as in the Eastern world, I think. If you look in the Asian world or more traditional cultures, the elderly have such a different place in the community.
They have the wisdom, right?
Yeah.
Not only the knowledge, which is so emphasized in the Western world, but they have wisdom. Yeah. And they have a huge role
in the community.
In the community.
And raising children. And so they have a different position, but here in the Western world, we don't. So we don't really want to grow into that older person.
Of course, yeah.
But also because of that, when we head towards menopause, we see all this, trouble that women get with hot flashes and they get, the hormones are all over the place during this phase again. Like you have that in puberty and then again in menopause, which is kind of a same phase, but
definite shift, right?
Definitely. Yeah. But you see that a lot of women, they go to a doctor and they get medicine.
Yeah.
So they suppress what's there.
Yeah.
They don't want to face what's there, but we suppress it. And that's what we learn from when we go to our doctors. When we go to seek help, that's what we get.
Yeah.
And I think what is beautiful, now I get into what we see in a holistic view, is that we actually are in a transitional phase. So when we're in the menopause, this is a time of transformation.
Yep.
And in the traditional Chinese medicine, we actually call it your second spring.
Ah, that sounds hopeful, right?
I love it.
It's not like your first winter or your autumn
your
or
second spring. This is such a huge thing because this is the time for women to really step into their power. And what you see, which is important in that, You see that?
I hope they're still listening.
Yeah,
right?
I hope that they didn't.
They
tune
made it so
off
far.
Because when I first heard it, I thought, I got really relaxed by the idea that this is so much more hopeful, but your body actually gives you a lot of opportunity in this way, your whole being. Because when in the first phase of a woman, you're more yin. Up till your puberty, then you're just growing and that's it.
Yeah.
But then you're puberty and then you're a woman. You can conceive and
Sure.
it's more focused on nurturing, insight, taking care of the family. That's what we're programmed for.
Yeah, I mean, last generations, of course, you see in the West, and the women start working, having children, and work at the same time.
Yeah.
But still, the system is more yin.
Whatever we do, it's still that way. So if we go against the system and be very young, which is a lot of movement, going out a lot, that is against our system.
Yeah.
I don't say that you shouldn't do it. It's just we're programmed to go with the flow and to work with our system.
Yeah.
So going back to that, so the first phase up till menopause, you're more yin, you're more focused on your small community, your small family, and nurturing and being within that family. But from the menopause, you get more young, and that's the hot flashes. There is the whole balance between yin and yang is gonna shift.
It shifts dramatically, yeah.
And you see some people, or a lot of women, they struggle with coldness when they're from the 12, 13 up till their 40s, 50s. And then it's starting to shift, and not a lot of now I'm gonna say it, but people in their second spring, they hardly have any cold feet or.
But what's wrong with the word elder?
No, it's not.
You know,
nothing.
See how conditioned we are. It's like we don't want to
yeah.
talk about that. This fear of becoming older and dying and everything. You know, let's skip that. You know, and
it's all. I think we talked about it in other podcasts. Like you're going through the phases every time, and even after dying. And there's this whole, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah, so you see this shift, women from yin to yang. But the interesting thing for the guys, who are hopefully still listening, is that with guys, there's this shift is in the opposite direction, right?
So while the women are more focused inside when they're raising a family, you see from historical, not nowadays as much anymore, but still, they're programmed to go more out. They're more young in every aspect. So you see that the energy that they have, they go out, they
go hunting.
They go hunting. Well, that was...
but it still is. It's still like that.
In
the career and going out, taking care of the family, going for the... Yeah, I mean...
They're not that much focused on taking care of the children. Well, nowadays it's a little bit different, but they're not programmed as much to nurture as women are. So what you see, they went out to get everything for their family. But then what you also see, they're more warm in their system.
Oh yeah, very young. Yeah,
most men. I do get it nowadays that I find that men sometimes have coldness symptoms, but normally that is not an issue with men.
No, they're driven. They're a lot of willpower, getting the stuff done. Doesn't mean they don't have problems with that, and have issues with that. But that's what you recognize, right? We're the guys, and the guys do this stuff and the girls do that stuff. I mean, I don't want to differentiate it that much, but that's sort of how our system is programmed, right?
Exactly. And you see this in nature. If we don't want to focus too much on people, you see it outside everywhere with animals. You see there is a difference between the girls and the boys.
Oh, definitely. But you see, so with the guys, you see this shift, and that's mostly sort of a midlife crisis that you see, right?
Yeah.
So,
or that's what it became.
Yeah, that's how we call it, maybe.
That's how we call it, because it's a crisis. Menopause is like, there is this thing around it, but it's actually what we're programmed for. So for men, they start to become more yin while they're growing older, and they are more focused inwards on they're gonna look at themselves and say, why am I here? What am I doing? And they're not as much going out and being in the world, working or hunting.
No, but oftentimes it comes with problems like burnout or close to burnout. Asking themselves questions like, is this everything? And then that sets up the shift going more inwards, like, what's in me that I can change? And so you see this more inward thing happening, which is beautiful to, I say, as a teacher, as someone who to coach these people and help them. I'm still, my age is still a little bit underneath that. I think I had my midlife crisis when I was like 15. I was like, this can't be everything, I need to shift. I need to find answers in me, and
it's not so defined as you see. That it's also shifting the way we live at the moment in the Western world. We see that the phases that we normally go through, they're shifting. You see that get into menopause that are far too young for menopause. So because the way we live now asks for different things, and that's another thing, our body always tells us where the disbalances are. And sometimes your body is screaming at you.
Just like, awake. Awake.
Exactly. And then we suppress.
Yeah.
So when your body is telling you all these stories, you do either, you're going to listen or you're not listening. And then your body is going to tell you more and more and more and more.
I have a feeling that people who are listening now are people who are, waking up to that. They're like, wow, something's got to change. And how can we, and that's maybe very interesting, how can you set up for, menopause? How can you prepare? Or if you're in it now, what can you do maybe to,
Well, I think it's important to look at menopause in a different way, because
that's the first thing.
That's the first thing, to be aware that is this beautiful opportunity to grow into your strength.
Spring is here, right?
Yeah, and that will give you a different mindset of what your body is actually telling you.
Yeah.
And the signals that your body is giving you, that you will listen to it. So going a little bit to the younger women, if you go, you have your cycle, your monthly cycle. And again, this is something that a lot of women struggle with, this cycle. They have a short cycle, long cycle, a lot of blood or not enough, or a lot of pain. There are so many
issues around the cycle, right?
Lower back pain, headaches,
stagnation.
Absolutely. And this is every month you have the opportunity to go through your cycle and let your body tell where the problems are.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you listen into your body, if you listen closely, then this is where you can actually solve problems.
Yeah, so it's your body telling you something, and either you go that adventure and solve the thing.
Yeah.
Then
wow. Or you don't.
Well, there's a lot of hope and strength in that, right?
Absolutely.
So that's almost like a different podcast. It's like, how can you see your the things that
surround the cycle?
Yeah.
And how to, and that it's not just your cycle. It's look around you. You're not an entity. Is that how you say it? In this world by itself? No, you're here in this greater thing called the universe, and there's the moon, and the moon is the thing that drives your cycle here on Earth.
Sure, yeah. And it regulates ebb and flow with the oceans, so I think it has some influence on us as well, right?
Absolutely. So if you get that big picture, and put yourself into that big picture.
Yeah, it's like as above, so below, right? Microcosm, macrocosm. Yeah.
So every month you get this opportunity. And also for men, you get your entire life to look at everything around you. Do you want to be with nature do you want to go against your nature, or do you want to be with nature?
Yeah.
So every month, every woman has the opportunity, and I know I've been there. I have taken birth control pill for quite a long time, and I was totally cut off of my cycle. Feeling I was living a life underneath the surface.
Yeah, you're suppressing everything, also your emotions, and
So
you're drugging yourself.
I was drugging myself. So I was not feeling what was actually underneath the surface. I wasn't feeling anything, so I couldn't help myself through the cycles. But then at a certain point, I was changing my food, and I thought, okay, the one thing that's really bothering me is taking this pill every day.
Yep.
And then we had the conversation. I stopped taking the pill and looking for other options. And then I got like, okay, but what does your cycle has to look like? Well, we'll do another podcast on that. Oh, sure, yeah. But that's a huge step forward.
Yeah.
So what is actually, and then you get into your menopause, and this is every month you had this opportunity, and now you have this phase that's a big transitional phase. Absolutely. That is taking you everywhere, where you have to look so beyond that. You can be that powerhouse woman
with all the wisdom
and changing the world.
Yeah.
That's when you get women who really can raise their voice, they have the knowledge of those years that they already had when they nurtured, when they saw all the things going on in the world, and now stepping forward. So looking at your cycle is one. Second is look at your food. Know that you're going, for as many women as there are different opportunities or different ways of changing food or changing how you live.
So these heat flashes, right?
Yeah.
Do they have to be there in the way that a lot of people experience them? I mean, that extreme. Yeah. Or is that a disbalance?
That's a disbalance. Yeah.
Because I think that's very interesting for people to understand. Is we've been conditioned that is normal. Well, we've been conditioned in a lot of things that we say is normal. But this is not per se normal. I mean, the yang shift, of course, is going to, boost that and fire that underneath. But
what they say, my teacher, that I had for the food.
The food study.
Jutta. Yeah. She would say from 40 up, so
40 onwards. Yeah.
40 onwards. Be careful with all the very hot ingredients. So don't eat any hot spices. Well, this is going to be difficult for some women. So no coffee, no chocolate, and all the garlic, ginger, the hot pepper, the red pepper.
Let's say you have to be very careful with that and take a close look at your normal routines with what you eat. So most people are used to drinking coffee every day in large quantities. So,
and it's also, with coffee, it's also a fashionable drink, of course. So
it's a lifestyle thing.
It's a lifestyle. Even if you drink iced coffee, it's still very hot.
Yeah. People think, oh, no, it's cold, so it's not hot. But coffee is hot.
Yeah.
Coffee is nice every once in a while, but that's one to really, really.
And especially if you're coming up to menopause, drinking these things and eating these things, these have a big impact.
Yeah.
And every medicine that you will take to suppress is actually because you have the lifestyle that you have.
Did you you were watching a show with Will Smith, the actor, about his
food? His food problems. Well, he was saying that he was taking a lot of medicine. That's so. It's ridiculous, actually. He was taking a lot of medicine for blood pressure and I don't know what things were going on. And that was just because he was taking the wrong food for him.
It was all mostly food related. I can imagine his life, the life he lives. It's very young and very exposed and everything outward. But
he changed his diet. It's somewhere on YouTube. He changed his diet, and he could stop with all the pills. So he was actually taking all the pills so he could sustain his bad lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that's what we do a lot. This is with women as
well. It's normal.
Yeah, that's what we take hormones to suppress what's there. And it's not just changing your food. It's also looking what's underneath. So what's about the emotions? What is family? A lot of it is family related.
And a lot of it is also the comfort, right? Comforting your own deeper emotions, like, I have this coffee. And then I have this chocolate. I'm not saying don't take any coffee, but I think the message you want to give is that your diet is extremely important in preparing and going through this phase, right?
Yeah.
So you have to experiment with yourself. If you just keep eating what you always did, you're probably feeding these heat flashes yourself, right?
Yeah.
So be careful with that.
Yeah, and it's with food, you want to go through the seasons, not just the seasons outside, but the seasons of your life, and look at what you eat, and then
be mindful, adjust, and
So it's and every time when a doctor says you take some medicine here or some extra this or that, because do go to a doctor when it's necessary, of course, but do look in the mirror and say, why do I need this? And what am I doing that made me have this condition at this moment? And that's the same with menopause.
What can you do yourself?
Yeah.
Right?
What can you do yourself to...
And probably the first thing, the most important thing, is that you have to accept. And celebrate that you made it so far.
Yeah. And then also sometimes you feel grumpy. Well, I think the worst thing is to fight with your grumpiness. Yeah. Just be grumpy and accept that you are grumpy, and tell the people around you that that's what it is at that time. You need to feel grumpy at that time. And when everybody accepts that it is, then you probably won't be grumpy at that.
Yeah, but you make the comparison with when you're like in puberty or something. Yeah. It's this that's a huge shift as well. So and everyone knows those you get these mood swings, you get all these things because your system is adjusting.
Yeah.
So
and I think for when you're in puberty, the focus you're focused on yourself. Mostly they're still children. They don't care about the people surrounding them. Mm. They just are in their own space. It's their own life. And I think when you're in your menopause, you're kind of the same, but we're conditioned that we should not.
Yeah.
But you feel that you need to be your own person, because leading up to that, you're taking care of everyone, and here you're breaking free.
Yeah.
And for a lot of women, it's also that the children are a little bit older.
Yeah.
And you're breaking free of that, what is.
Same for the men,
And for the men as well.
Yeah.
Just the other direction a little bit more.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that you can do, and first see it's your second spring. Are you setting up for the second spring, or are you setting up for winter, right? It's spring. It's not winter.
No,
it's spring.
No, it's getting into your power, and especially also for men. Are you preparing for really diving deeper into yourself and?
Yeah.
Well, can you
real answers, right?
Real answers.
Who am I? What am I doing here? What's the purpose here?
And can you get in touch with emotions, which is very hard for men when they're between their 20s and 50s. It's hard to reach those emotions, but it's getting easier when you're getting older.
Absolutely.
So absolutely, you can do a lot with food. I work a lot with herbs.
Yeah.
Herbs are great for...
Magic.
Yeah, for getting in touch with your emotions.
You have to be careful with it though, right?
Yeah,
they're
absolutely.
strong. So
yeah, and the more you feel, the stronger they are.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. They help a lot with the yin and the yang to get those more balanced.
Yeah. They work on spiritual level, emotional level.
Yeah. And the physical level as well.
So being mindful is one of the most important things here, right? Is being mindful of yourself, going what leads to this menopause, but also going through the menopause. That what are you feeling? How are you feeling? What are you eating? Everything, you have to take everything in account to go through that as smoothly as possible, so that you come out with a lot of energy. Yeah. Because this young energy can actually very much help you in the second spring, right? But if it just blows out there every time, no, you wanna sustain this young, because this young is your engine for
your strength,
your third, fourth, fifth career, whatever you want to do with it, right?
Yeah,
I mean, write a book, share your experience, start a YouTube channel, start a podcast.
Yeah, or
whatever,
whatever function, or be the new vice president of America.
Exactly. There's so much opportunity for you to shine throughout your life. It's only you have to decide that you've learned a lot of BS around this topic, because it's not so much spoken about, because it has to do with a lot of fear about dying, whatever, becoming older. Yeah. Just drop that, that's also natural.
Yeah.
Allow yourself true strength.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think I hope this was helpful. I hope it made you a little bit more aware of the phases of your life and how you can look at it at a different way. And please do ask questions if you have any. Reach out.
And we were talking a lot more about cycles, things, shifts, energy.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
So, hope to see you or listen, hear you.
Hear you. Hope you hear us.
Hear us in the next one.
Okay, people.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.